Good evening everyone that's here and welcome to this Engage, Innovate and Inspire CPD session. It's good to see so many of you here. My name is Gary Spracklen for those people that are listening on YouTube, and I am Director of Digital Learning and Innovation here at the Isle of Portland Aldridge Community Academy. Tonight I'm going to focus on Googling better, and in particular we're going to look at Google Apps for Education, which is a backbone of what we do here at IPACA, especially with our use of Chromebooks. So I'm just going to go to google.com and I'm going to log in. I'm going to use a tester email account today just to highlight to you some of the features without obviously showing you any of my data. We're going to log in. We've actually logged into Mail straight away because that's the first app that we want to focus on. But there are many more Google apps available. Google Mail is not just about Google Mail, it's about all the things that are linked in intrinsically with that. Previously, you may have noticed there was a ribbon at the top of the page of your email that said calendars, drive, contacts, groups, etc. Google have changed that in the last couple of weeks, I think to streamline it a bit more, to make it more visually appealing. And they just introduced this button, which is your apps button next to your email address. So if you click this, you can gain instant access to your drive, to your calendar, to your sites. You can even look at more, such as Google and Photos and YouTube and Maps. So it's just enhancing that experience for you. It's putting more options out there, but it's keeping it under a simplified button. So we're focusing on Mail. We're already in Mail. And this is the default view. This is what you'll get the first time you log into IPACA's Gmail. You'll notice that the emails are mainly unread because it's a test account, but also that they're in a conversation view. So in here, where it says 2, that means there's 2 messages that are associated with that conversation, that staff briefing. So it's not just one email. Here you've got 5 messages that are associated with it. Some people really like using conversation view because it keeps a subject flow together. It means you haven't got to go searching around to see different emails, and you can see different replies from different people about the same subject together. That's great if people stay on track and stay on the same subject. However, when the problem comes, I find, when you get somebody that changes the flow of conversation into another subject but doesn't change the subject of the email. So you may have been talking about your sixth form open evening, and then suddenly you're talking about data, and it's the same flow of conversation, and conversations can become mixed and merged. So personally, I don't like the conversation view, and I'll show you now how to get rid of that. Settings in Google Apps for Education are always in the same place. Top right hand corner, there's a cog. You just click that cog and you can press settings and you get access to that. The one that we're looking for in particular is under this general tab. If we scroll down, there's a view that says conversation view, and it says sets where the emails of the same topic are grouped together. We're going to turn that view off because we don't need to use that. There are also a couple of other settings in here that you just might want to check. You want to check that you're on the reply, not the reply all as default behavior. I know that's got some people into trouble in the past. And you may want to think about whether you want to trust images from external sites or always ask before displaying external content. Moving down, you can set your own picture. It looks like somebody's been playing on this account other than me, but that's a Clay Yourself image. Go to www.clayyourself.com to make one of those. And you can choose whether you show the people widget, which I'll talk to you about in a minute, and different things like that. In this area, you can also set your signature. So I've got this email is from Gary Spracklen, and this is a really quick time-saving tool because you can put in, your warm regards, your job title, your telephone number, etc. Very helpful. You can also set up out of office replies if that's something that you need to do. Perhaps you're off on paternity or maternity leave or long-term sickness, and you want to just inform people of that and when it ends, etc. And you can turn that on and off there. So we're going to save changes. It's always important that whatever you explore in your settings, you save the changes. And what you'll see here is those emails earlier on where we had 5 in a conversation flow, they've now gone into separate emails, between the IPACA emails. And that's just a way of easily seeing what's going on. Another thing that you may want to consider moving forward is how you organise your workflow with email. And Google have got some great tools to help you with this. So I'm going to go back into settings now. I'm going to click the cog. I'm going to click settings, and I'm going to actually look at inbox. Because under inboxes you can choose different types of inbox. We have the default one, which is where email just comes in the order that it's sent and stays in that order. No matter whether you've read it or not, it stays in that order and goes down. The issue I find with a default view is that if you've got something that's unread, it can start going very quickly down the list and then disappear off the end. Obviously it's there and you can search for it, but I find it goes out of mind, it's difficult. Here you can look at different options. You can have an important first email. That's where it learns from your behaviours of starring and marking as important, what emails are important to you. So if you have emails maybe from the principal or from an external body that you want to always be at the top, you can set different rules up for that. You can have similarly a priority inbox where emails are ranked by priority. So you could have emails from students coming lower down than emails from staff. Starred first obviously is the same principle in some respect. If you star an email, it stays at the top. The one that I personally use is unread first. When I receive an email, if it requires my immediate attention, I will reply, and that email would have been read and dealt with. If it's something that just needs no acknowledgement, I'll read it and that will go on. If I open an email and it requires further attention, my personal approach is to mark it as unread. This then goes into a separate inbox, and I'll show you how this appears. If I mark unread first, we've got options here. The first section of our inbox will be unread, and then underneath will be everything else. So I'm going to press Save Settings, and when we go back, you should see that we've got this first section that says unread. So these are emails that I've not dealt with. For me, they may be emails I've actually read before, but they require my attention. When I go down, we've got everything else, so we still have access to all the other things. So if I open a few of these, a staff briefing, for example, and a test one, and Google's document that I've shared, and also this one. When I now refresh the page, you'll notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4 emails here. Will disappear from here, and we go down to 9 from 13, and they'll come down here. And they go back in the order that they were sent in. So really, this is a traditional inbox underneath, with the exception of all unread messages stick above. And this just ensures that I keep jobs at the top of where they need to be. So I find it's a useful tool. It may be one that you find useful tool as well. If I go back into settings, before we click the settings icon, you may also like to know that there's different display options. So you can move to a more comfortable view, we can move to a cozy view, or we can move to a compact view where we see a lot more email in that space. Obviously the choice is down to you. We go through to settings. I've already talked to you about the general tab. The labels are how you can put things into different folders, etc. Inboxes, we've talked about. Accounts, you can have more than one Google account coming in at once. So if you've got a home Google account, you can merge that with your iPacker account. The only thing I would say about that is just be careful where you're replying from and make sure that you're aware. Filters works in a similar way to the labels in that you're filtering content. So you could ask a filter to automatically put all emails from a certain group of students into a specific folder. That way you can manage your workflow better. I won't go into POP and IMAP now. Labs are a useful tool to look at, and I'd encourage you to Google that and find out what those are about. They're just added extras that you can incorporate into your email. So there's lots of options there. You can also explore offline modes and also themes. Themes are also accessible through this menu in the top right. Anytime you click themes, you get the same menu come up, and you may just want to think about the beach while you're looking at your email, or maybe have a Chesil Beach inspired pebble theme. When I go back to the inbox, you'll see that there's a background. You can also customize those backgrounds and have your own images, and it's just nice, and you'll see a lot of students doing that. So that gives you a basic overview on Gmail. I think I've shared the key facts with you of things that you can use to support. It'd be great if people here could have opportunity now to have a play, and then we'll pick up in a minute. Okay, so hopefully you've all had a chance to have a look at what Gmail's about and you found some useful tools. It's interesting moving around that some of the things I've shared you weren't aware of and you think they'll help moving forward. That's really good to hear. We're going to move on now and just look at calendars briefly. So I've clicked the calendar app icon. It should open up. And whenever the first time you go into Google Calendars, it will give you this sort of welcome tool. And you can get rid of that or choose to follow it through. And you can finish setting it up later if you so wish. Just a really basic overview, really. Calendars works much better than a traditional calendar because you're able to share it with other people. So if I go down, I've got my calendar icons here. This is my calendars, and I can access them by clicking here. Obviously I haven't got any dates in my calendar yet, but if I go to month view, and sorry I'm jumping around quite quickly, but I should say that at the top here you've got different ways of viewing your calendar. You've got the day view, the week view, the month view, the 4-day view, and an agenda view, which is just a list of events. So if I go to the month view, because it's my personal favourite to have an overview of what's going on, if I put an event in on the 13th, there's two ways I can do that. I can either click create here, and that will open a menu, or I can double click on the date. I'm actually going to click the create button. I'm going to set in a tea party here, which is going to take place at 4 o'clock till 5:30 tomorrow. This is a weekly event every Tuesday, and it goes on after. It's going to go on for 20 weeks. We're going to do this for. Note here that I'm using the reoccurrence, the repeat functionality within Google Calendars, which is really useful. I'm going to press done. You can put in an address here. So this is going to take place at Osprey Key Campus. And it's going to go under which calendar. Now at the moment I've only got one calendar on here, but if you're sharing with other people and they've given you edit rights, it may be that you're assigning it to other people. Here you can choose to add a description. You can also add an attachment, so if there's any useful documents about the tea party, maybe the poster for the tea party, you can put this in here. Here on the right hand side you can add guests to the event. The tea party wouldn't be complete without a guest, so I'm going to invite myself. Here you can choose what the guests have access to. So can they modify the event? Can they change the date, the time, the venue? Majority of events that box is left unticked. Could they invite other people? And can they see the guest list of who's there? Well, I don't want anybody to see the guest list, I want it to be a surprise, but I am happy that they invite other people because we're all friendly here. So to save this event, I just press the save button, and at this point it asks me, would I like to send invitations? If I click send, an invitation is automatically created and emailed to the users on that list. An invitation appears as an email, and when they open it up they have an option to accept the invitation or decline it, or provide a kind of I'm not sure answer. This is great because as soon as they press yes accept, it automatically puts it into their calendar. So this is great for homework, for example. If you're not already using Edmodo and want another option, you can use this to send out homework to students. Just create a diary entry for the homework due in, and then just send it to all the students, and it'd be nice to see the students using Google Calendars as well. So I'm going to press send, and you'll notice that tea party's been added, and I would have had an invitation to all the tea parties coming up on my other email account. So I've got a calendar. It's now got some events in. How do I share it with other people? Because it might have multiple events, and I don't want to invite them every time, or I might just want them to be aware of what I'm doing. On the right hand side here you've got a drop down arrow. You just click this and you can press share this calendar, and at this point I can add a person such as myself again, and I can choose what access they have. I can give them complete control and allow them to make changes and manage the sharing properties. That means they can invite other people in to contribute as well. I wouldn't recommend that one. You can add this one if you want someone to have control over your calendar, which is make changes to events. So if the time or venue change, that person that has access over your calendar can make those changes. Very much like a shared diary might exist in the office. The next one is probably the most common, in that the person can just see what you're up to, so they can check which site you're working on or where you're supposed to be at that moment in time, and that's see all events. And then the final one is a lot more private, and that's see only free or busy. So I'll just give them that information. It won't tell them where you actually are. So we're going to click see all event details, and we're going to press save. I've now shared that calendar. Again, my other email account will get an email telling me that a calendar has been shared with me. And if a calendar has been shared with you, they will appear in this section, which is the other calendar section. So you may have access to campus-wide calendars, parent calendars, pupil calendars, etc., etc. are there. So that's all I can really say about Google Calendars. There's not too much else to cover. I think that touches all the bases. And I hope that you've enjoyed this session tonight. Thank you very much.